All right, so the very first one, it's sine law. How do I know it's sine law? Well, I've got two angles. I can find a third one. So if you wanted to call this angle A, right, at some point you have to find out what this is, because you have the 2, that's 71 degrees. I'll say if you have this, you get a mark. If you have the 71 show up somewhere, you already have a mark out of 3. Then I set it up, right? So if this is 71, I realize that I have a pair. So I go sine of 71 over 21 centimeters. And then it's, if I want this side, I need to use the angle across from it. So the setup here is as follows. If you have it set up correctly, you get a mark already for the setup. And then one more mark for the work and the final answer. So it's 21 times sine of 61 divided by sine of 71. And that's 19.43 centimeters. Make sure you have units, okay? So another mark basically for the work and the final answer. So that's where you get your 3 marks from. Okay, next. Again, we've got this side corresponds to this angle, right? So we've got a pair, so we know it's sine law again. So we are pairing them up. And this side is going to, right, there's another pair here. However, we don't know what this angle is, so we're going to find out what that is. Okay? If you have this set up, you get a mark already, because you determined that it's sine law, you set it up, you get a mark. So now we need to solve for the angle. Okay, so I would like to see how you cross multiply. Okay, I would like to see what you get out of this. Okay. You don't have to have this decimal there, but I would like to see the sine inverse of either this whole thing or the decimal. It's up to you. So if you use the inverse, we get 29.74 degrees. So I'll give you another mark for the work and the final answer. So 1 mark for setup, that's identifying sine law, and another mark for the work that leads up to your final answer. I would say there are variations of this. I would want to see you taking the inverse. Right, so you've cross multiplying, dividing, taking the inverse, and then final answer to get full marks. If you make a mistake upstream, like let's say you set it up wrong, you lose a mark, but I would still honor the work and the final answer. So you still get 1 out of 2. Right. Same here, if you miss this, you lose the mark, and then you could potentially get the rest. 2 out of 3 there. Okay. Next, we have a. You can identify that this is side, 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 right? So this is cosine law. You don't even have to sketch it, right? But the largest angle is going to be across the longest side, right? So if you want to, you could just go cosine of m. Okay. You just make sure this one is back here, and then it's 8 squared plus 13 squared. 2 times 8 times 13. Okay. So what I will do is I will sketch it real quick. And this is 20, this is 13, and this is 8. And so this is the one I'm interested in. This is m. Across from 8, this should be k, and this is l. Right? So if you wanted to sketch, there's nothing wrong with it, but we're basically finding this angle right here. So we have to have this 20 subtracting. That's very important. So I'll give you 1 mark for setup, substituting, and determining that it's cosine law, of course. And you're going to get, if you do the top, you get negative 16.7? No, 167? Cannot read my own writing. 167. And this is 208. And I will today, I will give you a mark for that negative. Like, it's very important to make sure you understand that the negative has to stay. You can't just get rid of it. And when you divide that, you get negative 0. And I don't have that in my key right now. 0.80288, right? 80 dot dot dot. And so the next line should be m is cosine inverse of negative 0.8028. Continued. Shift cosine of my previous answer. I get 143.41 degrees. So I'll give you another mark for the work, including the inverse and the final answer. So 1 mark for substitution. You just simply get a mark for getting a negative and putting it, letting it show, and then another mark for the work leading up to the final answer. So this page is worth 3 and 2 is 5 and 3 is 8. Yeah. 143.40.
Yeah.
Let me try this then. Negative. Supposed to be 4-1 because the 6 bumps that to a 1. So just rounding error, just go R, like half a mark off. And if you're missing units, of course, take off half for units. Yeah. So this page is worth 8. Back side. DEF. I want you to start scanning your information and realizing I don't have a pair, do I? I've got 2 sides and an angle, but I don't have a pair. I don't have side E. So this is not sine law. This is SAS, right? And if you miss it, that's fine. But if you just go DEF and E is 102, side D is 49, and side F is 43. So this is side angle side, right? So that's cosine law. So to solve side E, I gotta go E squared is equal to 43 squared plus 49 squared minus 2 times 43 times 49 times cosine of 102. So you get a mark for that. And then the next line would be E is equal to, if you type all of this into your calculator in one entry, you get 5,126.139, and that keeps going. And I already have the square root. If you did this, that is just fine, okay? But this cancels out essentially, that's why I just left with E. And so next would be 71.597, right, something. So E should be 71.60 kilometers. That is the correct, properly rounded to 2 decimals. You might wonder, where's the third mark coming from? I'll just give you a mark for the diagram. How's that? I feel like most of you did the diagram. If you didn't do the diagram, you still get 3 out of 3 if you get the right final answer. Here is a nuance that you need to be prepared for. If you like full marks, you need to pay attention to this part. Since we are rounding to 2 decimals, like if there's something past the second decimal, you have to go 60. Okay? You can't just go 0.6. If this had been exactly 0.6, like if you type this in and you get exactly 71.6, then it's fine to just go 0.6. But the province says if you're rounding to 2 decimals and you rounding causes it to go to 60, you need to go 60. I'm not going to take off marks today if you went 0.6, that's fine. But I'm just letting you know moving forward, because I didn't talk about that. Moving forward, you should. So my advice to you is just have 2 decimals show up everywhere. Whatever you do, just 2 decimals, unless told otherwise. There are instances where I'm going to ask you to round to 3 decimals. Very few instances, but a question will say it explicitly. Okay? Money has to be 2. No, you can't do 3 there. You have to go 2. Okay, so 3 and 8, that makes us 11, right? 11 total, so just cross out the 15 like that. Make it out of 11. And put your first name and last name on there, and let's go into our books now.